Good morning. I hope everyone's having a good morning this week. We're halfway there. We're Wednesday morning, so we're almost there, guys. Um, so before we get into everything, just wanted to kind of give an idea. This is the best image I could find of Christ, Jesus teaching and healing, not healing. I couldn't find a good picture of healing, but just this good picture here. I believe that this is just the feeding of the 5,000, I think it is. And so we'll probably use that image later on as well when we get to that. But let us begin. So we are going to be in Mark 3:7 through 19, Christ healing, preaching, and the appointing of the 12. So let us begin. So Jesus, we're again through the ESV today as well. So Jesus withdrew with his disciples to the sea, and a great crowd followed from Galilee and Judah and Jerusalem and Idumea and from beyond the Jordan, from around Tyre and Sidon. When the great crowd heard all that he was doing, they came to him, and he told his disciples to have a boat ready for him because of the crowd, lest they crush him. I find that so interesting because of the fact that, the crowd, the size of this crowd, the momentum of, that's not a word, but the momentum of just like all the people coming towards him had to be so huge that they were able to, in a sense, actually crush him, or just like that idea of it is just crazy to me in a lot of ways. So, um, but it's so unique, so interesting that he uses those words. And now this next verse I find so important. For he had healed many, so that all who had diseases pressed around him to touch him. Now, again, stop again, just real fast, because of the fact this reminded me just recently, rereading this before recording, that when when reading this, I remembered the woman that bled for her whole life that said, if I could just touch his robe, I will be healed. These people just want to be healed by Christ because they believe in his power, and they believe in him. I believe. And so and whenever the unclean spirits saw him, they fell down before him and cried out, "You are the Son of God." And he strictly ordered them not to make him known. Again, this is like the third time that he's done this, that he's instructed them not to say anything about who he is. It's like at this time, like his disciples knew, and he gives instructions, not instructions, indications. That's the word I'm looking for. That he is the Son of God, that he is God. But he was like, not yet. Not this isn't time for this moment to happen. Just his way of doing things is just mind blowing to me. Now to the 12 that I believe that we never talk enough about. And he went up on the mountain, and he called to him those who he desired. Also, he desired all of these 12. Just listen. And they came to him, and he appointed 12, whom he named apostles, so they might be with him. He might send them out to preach and have authority to cast out demons. Okay. He appointed the 12, Simon, to whom he gave the name Peter, also known, this doesn't say here, but also Cephas as well. James, the son of Zebedee, and John, the brother of James, to whom he gave the name. I am not going to try to pronounce this. I butchered this like more times than I care to admit, and I'm just not going to try it. But the translation is sons of thunder. Andrew and Philip and Bartholomew, I can never say that name right, and Matthew and Thomas and James, the son of Athramus, and how do you say this dude's name? The Thaddeus. There it is. Thaddeus and Simon Zealot. And finally, it doesn't say that, but Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. I do apologize. I'm horrible with names. I'm glad we're not going through Genesis with this. But there's so many things through this. I already mentioned it within the first part. The the crushing him, the fact that there's that many people that could crush him, the fact that he healed all these people that they just pressed all around him just to be able to touch him, to be like, hey, we need to be healed. And the fact of the matter that the demons knew who he was, they said who he was, and he ordered them not to say anything for the third time in the last week now, last week and a half actually. Last week and this week we have gone through this and we've seen that he has instructed them not to say anything. That's mind blowing to me. Now the 12 that I just read through butchered some of them, but that's okay. We talk about Peter, James, and John all the time. We'll mention Andrew, we'll mention Philip, we'll mention John, mention Thomas. What's really sad is we'll mention him in the doubting Thomas. So, um, and James, the other James. So we'll mention the other James sometimes. But Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, we never really talk about them. Andrew and Philip is not that great mentioned all the time, but they were mentioned a little bit more than the others. Bartholomew is mentioned like now. I don't like off the top of my head. I don't recall him being mentioned more than that. And then Judas, we all know Judas. Feel bad for any kid that else who was named Judas around that time after what he did. But when you think about the 12 that he instructed, the 12 that he ordered to go, I haven't even gotten to that next page. I don't even remember what I put because I put it the other day. But he instructed these 12 and he knew who was going to betray him. At least I believe he knew. I believe that God knew who was going to betray him, and let's say let's play these little cards, like let's say that he didn't know and he still used Judas in these amazing ways, and if he didn't know, how crazy would that be that he brought him in and he knew? So it's crazy of the situation of how these environment of who Judas became, or was he like this? Was he already selfish in this manner, which a lot of people believe that he was, or he wanted to use just the money for their own sake? So there's just some interesting things. I do believe that Jesus picked those 12, those specific 12, for very specific reasons. Peter, without Peter, we would not have a lot of what we have today. James and John, Matthew, Thomas. I want to do so many things, so many lessons with Thomas, because there's so much with that, so much with doubting Thomas. I don't like calling him doubting Thomas because to me, he's struggling. He was struggling during that time. So, um, Jesus's teaching and healing, but still the warning of not making him known yet. I thought I put that. How crazy is it that the demons have now, this is only the second time, called out and have made it known who Jesus is. First, the one who, the Holy One of God, and now the Son of God. Both times, not the same words, but you are from God. You are of God. How often do you read and even think about the 12 apostles? How many times? Why is it that we all seem to forget about them? Why do we forget about the 12, most of the 12 that have helped us with where we are today? James, John. Now, we don't have, 12 gospels, we only have 4 of them. But without all of them, Luke might never had all the details he had because he's a physician. He got into details. Mark was the first gospel written, so he what he didn't see, what he didn't know was helped. I'm sure of that because you need info on these things. How have you ever thought about the names that Jesus gave them and their meanings? Now, I didn't go into the meanings too much, and I want you to do that. This is a challenge for this week. Now, it's middle of the week. I hope y'all haven't had exams or anything yet, or any crazy uh, lessons, any crazy things, tests like that. But that is my kind of challenge this week. Can you share with me? Can you tell me why these people were given the names that they were given? Now, that is all I have for today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.